The playoffs have been seeded and formatted, and while catastrophe continues on the outside world, we will talk about that instead. Playoffs? We're talking about the playoffs? That's correct. First off, we have an article here that is sort of previewing the playoffs writ large. And I wanted to read what was going on here about the Kansas City Chiefs. AFC number 1 seed Kansas City Chiefs 15-2, odds to win the Super Bowl plus 350. FPI chance to make the Super Bowl 27.9%. The first game outlook. The Chiefs get the AFC's top seed for the second time in 3 seasons and the 5th time since Patrick Mahomes became the starting quarterback. They will play in the divisional round against the lowest seeded wild card team remaining, the number 4 Texans, number 5 Chargers, number 6 Steelers, or number 7 Broncos on either Saturday, January 18th, or Sunday, January 19th. So we'll talk a little bit more about the seeding at the end of this, but I would prepare for that Saturday game. I think that this is going to be the Saturday matchup for the NFL, Saturday the 18th. The article continues. The Chiefs have combined a 5-1 record against those teams, sweeping both games with the Chargers, beating both Houston and Pittsburgh in a stretch from December 21st to 25th. Remember, that not only was that 3 games in 11 days stretch ridiculous, it was 3 playoff teams in 11 days, right? That was the Chargers, the Texans, and the Steelers. So, and then you ended the season with the Broncos, but not a victory there. Reason for hope: a revitalized offense. The return of receiver Hollywood Brown, the development of rookie wideout Xavier Worthy, and all-pro guard Joe Thuney's play at left tackle has the offense looking like the Chiefs hoped it would all season. Kansas City played 2 of its best offensive games of the season in weeks 16 and 17. Its last regular season games with quarterback Patrick Mahomes and the starters. We built up to the perfect spot, Mahomes said. We built up to the perfect spot. We've gotten better and better before Hollywood got here. Xavier started playing better, being more confident. It kind of sets everybody perfectly in their roles. Reason for concern: the pass protection. The protection has improved since Thuney moved from left guard to left tackle, but Mahomes was still sacked 36 times this season, the most he has ever been taken. The Chiefs, I'm a little bit reticent to refer to Patrick Mahomes as taken, but the Chiefs are still struggling to generate big pass plays due to Mahomes being forced to throw the ball quickly. Right tackle Jawaan Taylor is the 3rd most penalized player in the league with 17 penalties. Here's the thing about Jawaan Taylor being so penalized. He's not even a dirty player. He's not even getting cheap shots in. He's not even being one of those guys that we kind of have to sheepishly kind of explain to other fan bases or defend when it comes up in the media. He's just moving at the wrong time and holding on to guys. Give us something, Jawaan. Headbutt somebody, okay? Something. Kick him in the shin, something. If it keeps him away from Mahomes, I'm all for it. Most penalized player in the league with 17 penalties, and those penalties have been something the Chiefs have struggled to overcome this season. That's from Adam Teicher. Teicher, you traitor. Don't give these things away. Stat to know. Chris Jones recorded 62 pass rush wins this season, the most by a defensive tackle. It's actually the most by a lot. The Broncos' Zach Allen finished with 52. That's 10 fewer. While the Seahawks' Leonard Williams finished 3rd with 40. That's 33% fewer, more than 33%, but we'll just say 33%. Was it probably like 38% or something? I bring this up because it has been a quiet season for Jones on the sack front, only 5. But make no mistake, the Chiefs still have a game wrecker at defensive tackle who could make a huge difference in the playoffs. And that's what the playoffs come down to. Heat check rating 10. The Chiefs provided their immortality time and time again, proved their immortality time and time again this season, and they enter the postseason with a first-round bye, home field advantage, and a healthy Brown and Isaiah Pacheco. It's very important to have a healthy Brown. How could this not be a 10? So I want to go a little bit through kind of piece by piece what they're talking about here. Going up to, where was it? This idea here. The Chiefs have played the Texans, the Chargers, the Steelers, and the Broncos. Well, let me sort of flash forward a little bit in this video and show you a preview of what we're going to end the video with what we're going to end the video. But here's the Kansas City Chiefs, right? The number 1 seed. Number 2 seed, the Bills. We lost that game. Kind of an uninspired performance, but still a loss. The Ravens. Beat the Ravens, didn't we? The Texans. Beat the Texans, didn't we? The Chargers. Beat the Chargers twice. The Steelers. Beat the Steelers, didn't we? And the Broncos, we beat the Broncos when it mattered. And the number 8 down here would be those wily Cincinnati Bengals, who I'm calling it now. So, beat the Bengals, by the way, but I'm calling it now. Put this in your calendar. The Bengals are going to tag T. Higgins again. They're going to use him as trade bait to get Tyreek Hill. If the Bengals can pull off Tyreek Hill and Jamar Chase under contract under the salary cap, that is going to be a nasty team to have to deal with. So just get prepared for that. Back up here, we got that. Reason for hope, a revitalized offense. The offense has been you don't even want to call it an evolution. The offense revolutionized when all of their players returned because of the slow evolution of Xavier Worthy, because of the slow evolution of Kareem Hunt getting into sort of a game-to-game shape, because of the evolution of Nuke Hopkins being on the team and learning the playbook, getting in rhythm, getting on page with Patrick Mahomes. That sideline catch from Nuke Hopkins the last time we saw him, that kind of stop, turn around, and the ball's going to be somewhere no one else can get it, that's coming back. The Chiefs are absolutely going to utilize that in the postseason. Now, the offense having a revolution as opposed to an evolution during the last few weeks of this season is huge for a couple reasons. Number one, obviously having a good offense is important. They were one of the... I haven't looked at the numbers over the last month of the season. Guarantee you they were one of the better offenses over the last month of the season. But also, you don't have everything on film. You are the Chargers, we'll say, because we're going to get to that in a minute later, in the divisional round coming against the Kansas City Chiefs. You've already seen them twice. How are they going to use Pacheco and Kareem Hunt? How are they going to use Nuke Hopkins when they have Hollywood and Xavier Worthy on the field? You don't really know. You've only seen it a handful of snaps. Everything, and look, I'm not even mentioning Travis Kelce. Travis Kelce has been very, very coy, very, very quiet this entire season. Last year he was as well. Broke his 1,000-yard receiving streak. But he wasn't quiet in the playoffs, was he? So this offense is going to, I think, turn another page this year, the way that it did last year in the playoffs, and we're going to see things we haven't really seen. One thing, Andy loves to steal plays from the college level. One thing that I thought was very interesting this past season was a play from Mizzou. Mizzou lined up 3 wide receivers on one side of the football. Boom, boom, boom. Receiver 1, receiver 2, receiver 3. At the snap of the ball, receiver 1 and receiver 3 both step back to catch a screen, and only one of them gets it. Right? I think Andy could work that in. He's a Mizzou fan. He used to work there. But the The different things we're going to see in this offense, I think, are going to be myriad. Last season, what we ended up seeing in the playoffs that we didn't really see during the course of the season was Rashee Rice running a lot of intermediate routes and Rashee Rice dragging across the field. We have seen Xavier Worthy dragging across the field. I'm going to ask you, when was the last time you really remember seeing Xavier Worthy streaking down the field? What about Xavier Worthy in one slot, Hollywood Brown in the slot to the other side? Both of those guys go streaking down the field. Someone is going to have a healthy Brown in their pants. So that is something we're going to see with the offense, in my opinion. Reason for concern, the pass protection. Yeah, the DJ Humphries, I don't think is in football shape. Looking at what happened during that Broncos game, he looked like he just had dead legs almost all the time. The upper body strength is still there. The handwork, I think, is still there. The legs, I don't think he has them right now. Can that return? It takes time. Can that return during the course of a bye week? I don't know. Do you really want to work him out that much? Because in addition to being out of shape, he's also a little bit older. I know, sounds like I'm talking about myself. Maybe I'm projecting. But it's important to know that a player who has missed all that time and is older is going to be a little bit more difficult to come back. And with what we saw in that Broncos game, taking off the last few weeks like he has and still having dead legs is concerning. I think we're going to continue to see Joe Thuney at left tackle. So that is what I have to say there. And then Jawan Taylor headbutt somebody. Please. Stats know Chris Jones with 62 pass rush wins this season. He hasn't been cashing them in. What does that mean? Right? So if you're looking at a guy who's number one with 62, which is 36%, we'll say, higher than number three. Well, that means the quarterback is getting away. He's winning. Chris Jones is winning, but the quarterback still has some place to run. Well, something interesting has happened along the defense recently as well. Charles Omenihu is back. Charles Omenihu does not allow that edge to get taken very lightly. Charles Omenihu, not only is he big and strong and fast, we've talked about many times on this channel how he has a wingspan that is insane, and that in and of itself keeps quarterbacks not necessarily in the pocket, but at least keeps them running running to your side, and you become an inescapable defense. So when the quarterback does not have that escape route, he has to figure something else out, i.e., stepping up in the pocket. That becomes a problem when Charles Omenihu is looking at you, or when Chris Jones has won against the pass rush. I can't find it. So Charles Omenihu has 36-inch arms. I was hoping to see his wingspan, but it's not on there. It's not readily available. His wingspan must be, 3.5 Buicks, something like that. So that is going to help the Kansas City Chiefs with the pass rush. And that's big in the playoffs. A lot of times the playoffs come down to, can you convert on third down? Can you run the football? Can you get after the passer? So the last thing to really talk about here is the AFC Playoff Field. This week, the Kansas City Chiefs are off. This week, the Broncos will go to Buffalo. So this entire NFL season has felt kind of lackadaisical because most of the time, if you think this team should win, it wins. They win. It's been a weird season in that way because that is not the way the NFL often works. There are two teams in the NFL this season with 15 wins, the Lions and the Chiefs. There is one team with 14 wins. The Vikings, I think they're the only team in the NFC with 14 wins. The Vikings and the Lions are in the same division. The Chiefs, and they have a third team from their division in the playoffs as well. The Chiefs from the AFC West, 15 wins. The Chargers, 11, and Broncos, 10, are in the playoffs as well. 3 teams from the AFC West, 3 teams from the NFC North. Kind of a weird and lopsided season in general. But anyway, the Broncos head to the Bills. I think that's going to be a Bills win. The Steelers head to the Ravens. If you're putting money down this weekend, that's where I'd put my money. Bet on the Ravens. You're not going to win a whole lot, but you will win. This is not financial advice. This is not gambling advice. I'm saying completely and totally hypothetical. The Ravens are I would pick the Ravens 100 times out of 100 over the Steelers team that we have seen over the last month. And the Chargers will head to Houston to take on the Texans. Now, this is where I see the upset happening. I think the Chargers are going to beat the Texans, which means the Chargers will be the lowest remaining seed, which means that the divisional round will see the Ravens go to the Bills and the Chargers head to the Chiefs. I think the Chargers will come to Kansas City for the divisional round of the playoffs, and that is going to be an interesting matchup. You're going to see these Chargers for the third time this season. I think that the final time the last time the Chiefs faced the Chargers was more convincing than the first time. I think that the Chiefs right now are still too good for the Chargers if they are firing on all cylinders. The Chargers are going to be a dangerous team. I don't think that is this season. Still won 11 games, right? I am also on the record saying I think the next big challenger for Kansas City in the division is the Denver Broncos, So make of that what you will. But this season, it will be the Chargers, I think, are going to be the only team in this side of the bracket that pulls the upset, meaning that the AFC Championship game will be between the winner of Los Angeles, Kansas City, and Baltimore with the Bills, right? So that is the way that I think things are going to go. I would pick the Chiefs in that one. I would pick the Bills in that one. And you're going to have an AFC Championship game with the Bills coming to Kansas City one more time. It will be wild. This was the only team, really, to beat the Kansas City Chiefs during the regular season, and it would be a wild rematch in Kansas City. That is what I have for this video. If you like or appreciate what it is I do here, hitting a like button really does help me out, as it tells YouTube to share this video with other Kansas City Chiefs fans. And if you find yourself here by chance but not design, the Chiefs are the only thing I talk about on this channel, dropping multiple videos every single week, and I hope to have you back for the next one.